and welcome to the Bookkeepers Podcast, live from the Bookkeepers Summit. I'm Zoe Whitman, I'm here with Joe Wood, and we're joined by Ami Copeland, CEO of the ICB. Hi Amy, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well.
So lovely to see you here today. Can you tell anyone that doesn't know who you are and what your role is at the ICB?
I can indeed, yes. I am the CEO of ICB, and I am running an organisation that is a professional membership body for bookkeepers, and we're very proud to be the only UK professional body that dedicates itself to bookkeepers. So there's lots and lots of other professional bodies, but not one that just really focuses on the heart of the accounting community, which is bookkeepers.
And this event is something that's been running for, I think you said you came 13 years ago or something.
When did they start?
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, this is number 15.
So how many bookkeepers would we expect to see here today?
Well, good question. I think we've got 400 and something bookkeepers today.
Oh, wow.
So that's
amazing.
pretty good. Moderately more than last year. So
And
that's always...
generally like self-employed or working in practice?
Yeah, most of them are running their own business. And I talked a little bit about that earlier. A lot of our practices are starting to grow in size. So we're definitely not a kind of mid-tier yet. For us, 5 people in a practice is still big. But we're seeing more and more people taking on staff, subcontracting, just using that network to grow their business, take on more clients, or maybe specialise, maybe have some time off. That would be nice.
And you're like many of us in this industry, that you're juggling your career with a young family. And for lots of bookkeepers stepping out of their front doors today and coming to an event like this, and then we've maybe had to put the dinner in the slow cooker and leave a list of chores. What's it like being the CEO and having a young family? Do you find that it's difficult, or do you feel like, you're leading the way for other women to be able to, step out and have a career?
Oh gosh, well, I hope it's a bit of both, but I've definitely heard my kids say, you know what, we don't want to be CEOs when we're older, so I'm obviously not, for them, perhaps not leading it in quite the way I should be. I'd love to say that sometimes it's easy, and other times it seems quite hard. I think the juggle is real, as they say. A lot of members come to ICB changing their career so that they can look after their family or look after, parents, kids, somewhere in between. So, to be honest, actually, that's one of the reasons I kind of came back to ICB, having resigned when I was 30, was because I had kids, and I actually thought, gosh, I kind of got it in a way that I maybe never really understood it before. What it is that ICB does and what that kind of bookkeeping profession gives you, that ability to have a really flexible career. So I'm very lucky that now I'm the boss, so I guess I get to establish more of a routine than perhaps a lot of people in a job might be able to. But I work from home, and it gives me a lot of chances to see my kids, I suppose. But I don't know if I could say hand on heart that I am daily setting a good example of someone who has the balance exactly right. I think it's a work in progress.
I think that's the thing, that it is a work in progress continuously, and ICB's changed a lot since COVID, because you did used to have the offices. It was a lot more corporate, and I feel that the professional body itself has stepped into the shoes a bit more of the membership, where you are working from home and juggling all of those things. So I think that's another great thing for the industry, because the other professional bodies maybe aren't doing it in exactly the same way. They're still like the big corporates, aren't they?
Well, we're very proud that we didn't put anybody on furlough, we didn't lose any staff during COVID, and it was difficult, but we've definitely kind of followed the example that bookkeepers have set. And I always say about bookkeepers, they're such progressive employers. So those bookkeepers that are bringing on staff, they do it in this incredible, sympathetic way, because a lot of them are mums and they specifically try to do something that's really flexible. So they offer that to their employees. And it's so inspiring. And so often I hear the older generation in ICB saying, well, we really need to get back into an office. And, what we've been learning today at the Bookkeepers Summit is actually you've really got to question those kind of deep-set beliefs. And you've got to keep questioning, well, why do we need an office? What is it that we do better in an office, and can we still facilitate that while giving people the opportunity to work remotely? But it does affect after-work drinks quite negatively. So that's why it's really nice to come to the Bookkeepers Summit and finally have all the team together, be able to let our hair down a little bit. Probably not until after the Luke Awards is finished, but I will be at the bar buying a nice round of drinks for the team.
Love that. So we're at the Bookkeepers Summit today, and I know the theme is around the future of bookkeeping. Tell me about the kind of sessions that we're having today and what the future of bookkeeping looks like.
Wow. We feel at ICB that the future really belongs to bookkeepers. I think there's been a lot of talk, probably in the last 10 years, about how technology is going to be driving down the demand for bookkeepers and accountants, and it seems like every day the reverse seems to be true, and it only takes a budget like the one we had last month for bookkeepers to have their employer or their clients just knocking at their desk, knocking at the door rather, and just asking them for answers, asking them for reassurance. So I think the bookkeepers here today are here because they recognise that their value is just going up and up and up. So the bookkeeper of the future is the bookkeeper that's here, I would say. But really what we've been trying to say is we just want to give bookkeepers the opportunity to sort of zoom out from their day-to-day and have a new perspective on what they're doing, so that whatever they decide to do in their future, be it maintaining their career, getting a pay rise, growing the business, scaling down the business, selling the business, whatever they do, they have the opportunity to do it intentionally, rather than just, there's so much busy work for bookkeepers, and they spend so much time solving other people's problems. We want everyone to take a step back and actually think about themselves, maybe just for one day, just for 1 week, but then know how to progress forwards into the future.
I think that's the thing. We've been having lots of conversations today about people wanting to make changes in their businesses and looking at what's out there, but actually they've never actually, maybe because they're mothers as well, thought, actually, what is it that I want? And we were saying about the fact that some of them are in the driving seat, but they've not switched on the sat-nav and put in a destination, and they're very busy driving, but they don't know where they're heading. So an event like today gets them, like you say, to zoom out and think, what is this big picture? Why am I doing this? And hearing from like-minded people and bookkeepers just like them is so important, because when we do work from home, we can feel isolated. And I think that's the biggest thing I've always got from coming to the summit, is feeling a belonging and feeling that I'm not on my own, and that there are other people out there, weirdos as well, that love the numbers. But also just to see what is possible. The ICB is going to be really helping bookkeepers to determine what their future is. What do you think with regards to AI? We get a lot of scared bookkeepers thinking that it's going to take away their jobs. We see, maybe it's our growth mindsets, we're like, but this is going to leverage you to be able to have those better conversations. But bookkeepers sometimes lack the confidence, and they like to hide themselves in that data entry. What have you been saying at the ICB about the future of AI and bookkeeping?
Well, I think we totally agree with you, very much aligned with what you're saying. I think we see that AI is absolutely falling into the laps of bookkeepers, because if you think about how bookkeeping has changed because of technology already, bookkeepers are just leveraging that technology already. I think they've got this kind of mindset where they know how to use technology to their advantage, and they know how to bring clients along on that road with them. So things like making tax digital, they are going to be those sort of change makers for small businesses. So when it comes to AI, it's like, yes, you can use it, but you're also going to need to help your clients to use it as well. And they're so set up for it because they've seen this kind of massive transformation already. So I think they've got an advantage, and particularly over some of the more kind of traditional once-a-year accountants or other kind of service providers. Bookkeepers have got this thing that is going to be really key in the future, which is this ability to speak to business owners in a way that they can understand. And we've been talking a bit about making tax digital here. We've got HMRC visiting. And it's all very well and good for us to say, well, of course digital record keeping is, it's a no-brainer. Of course it's key to the future. But for a lot of small businesses, it's absolutely terrifying, and it's a huge, huge change. And I see bookkeepers being so open-minded because they've got the skills they need to help clients make these changes. And they're systems integrators, so they're going to be able to help businesses use this technology. So I kind of see it as twofold. I think bookkeepers are going to be able to leverage technology themselves to be able to get rid of some of the, if they're happy to, do a bit of the grunt work so that they can free their time up a little bit more, but also help clients take on that technology as well.
We had a really good conversation with Xero before we started recording these interviews about how bookkeepers specifically are using all of the features of Xero. So, and whereas if they were working with an accountancy practice, it might be more about saying, did you know you can do this? Whereas the bookkeeper is more likely to come in and say, oh my gosh, I've been using this function and it's really helpful. So I feel like, yes, we're using the tech, but also, and maybe it's like I don't want to stereotype, but maybe it's a feminine trait that we are potentially better communicators as well, and that works in our favour in terms, like, we are going to have to be the translator for the client, but we're in a really good place to do that. Something I pick up from being here is that there is so much going on, and if you're a bookkeeper in this room and you're visiting all of the stands and listening to all of the sessions, and you go to a party tonight and then you forget everything and then go back to your desk, it could be quite overwhelming to leave here and not quite know what to do next. There are lots of events like this, nothing quite like this event, but if you're thinking of somebody who is attending as a bookkeeper, what would your recommendation be to them in terms of how to get the most out of an event like the Bookkeepers Summit?
Well, do you know what? I think it's do something really simple. Take notes. I find, I don't know if other people find this, that actually when you type stuff in, it doesn't have quite the same effect as when you take notes. And I'm really bad at, I will fill up notebooks after notebooks and actually then not really do anything with it. But it does help your system to take in the information and make use of it. So take notes, absolutely. Take business cards if you want to be really old-fashioned, but we've got a really nice app, so we've got all of our presentations available in the online app, and then actually in one day's time we've got more content going online as well. So there's all these opportunities, I think, to be just kind of processing that information. You've got to take it in, and we talked a bit this morning about not being a know-it-all, being a learn-it-all. So sort of kind of shifting your mindset to be thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to know everything, I need to be perfect, I've got to have all the answers from my clients. Well, actually, no, you don't. You need to have this kind of open approach to realizing that there's so much to learn. You'll never learn everything, but you've just got to be open, you've got to be adaptable. So maybe it's do something simple like take notes, but also just take the pressure off a little bit. You don't have to know everything all the time.
What's your advice to the bookkeeper of the future in terms of the opportunity? Like this, I feel like there's so much opportunity with AI and bots and the technology that's going to come in and support us in our business. What do you think that the bookkeeper of the future should be focusing on specifically while they're at this event?
I would love the bookkeeper of the future to focus on what makes them happiest. What brings meaning? Why did I would love them to be able to reconnect with their initial purpose. Why are you a bookkeeper in the first place? Was it to do bank reconciliations? It probably wasn't. And there's been a lot of talk about how you find the place where you can add most value. And that's kind of what I love about bookkeeping. You can do it in so many different ways. And I know there's people here today thinking, actually, I don't want to grow my business. I actually want to scale back because I've got other things in my life and I can't handle it. So for them, how do we do that? How do we approach that? Is that finding the right tools? Is that expanding your team? Or is it actually finding other firms that you can give some of the work to and actually co-firm? Can you work alongside another bookkeeper? So there's various different ways of doing it, and I think the best way to approach it is to just be as open-minded as possible and try to speak to as many people as you can do.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Amy. It's been really great to find out more about the summit. We'll be recording some more episodes live from the Bookkeepers Summit, but for now, thank you for speaking to us today and have an amazing day.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.